Hey everyone, it's Jonathan here, founder of Driving Academy, and in today's video we're going to be discussing the pros and cons of actually becoming a tanker truck driver. So let's get into what an actual tanker truck driver actually looks like. So instead of driving a big dry van trailer like this, you're actually going to be driving a tanker vehicle behind you, which means most likely you're going to be transporting liquids in a big tank. Now in order to qualify as a tanker truck driver, you're going to need to go through a few different steps. The main two steps to get an actual CDL license are going to be the same. First step is going to get your CDL permit by passing a few written tests. Second step is passing the 2.5 hour long road test to get your actual license. That being said, the tanker, you have to add one more step to it, which is in the actual permit process itself, you're going to have to pass a few extra written tests. So if you just want a pure tanker endorsement, that means you have to pass the tanker written exam. But if you want to have the most availability for all tanker type of products, I would recommend going for the hazmat as well. So you're going to get tanker and hazmat endorsement on your license. When it comes to the road test, you don't have to change anything at all because the road test is going to be done on a normal dry van trailer itself. Once you actually have that, now you have a tanker with hazmat endorsement, and then you're able to benefit from becoming a tanker CDL driver. Now let's talk about the pros and cons of what that actually looks like. So when it comes to the pros of actually driving a tanker vehicle for your career, the first main pro why people actually like getting into that is going to be the higher pay. So because you have these extra endorsements, and because you're going to have more skill set and higher responsibility, the industry actually pays you more being a tanker driver. That being said, why are you going to get paid more? Like I said before, you're going to make sure that you are handling much more responsible loads that can be hazardous itself. The next pro of actually being a tanker driver is going to be the consistent work, right? There's so many industries out there, like the chemical industry, a lot of food industries, that heavily rely on tanker drivers to actually take their product from point A to point B, from manufacturing plant to the finished location or to the processing plant. And a lot of times, a lot of transportation has to happen with actual tankers itself. When you're thinking about tankers, you're probably thinking about fuel. So all those gas stations that you see, a tanker vehicle actually has to go there to fuel up all those gas stations from the refineries itself, right? And then the third main pro why people like getting into the tanker career is going to be it's much more home time, which means most of the time when you're driving tankers, in most cases, it's either going to be local work or regional work itself, right? If it's huge amounts of liquid that has to be transported across country, most of the time it's much cheaper and much easier for them to just put it on a train and do it that way. But they usually take it off the train and put it on the trucks when it comes to local and regional work, which means a lot more home time for you compared to the guys who are going to go over the road. So you're talking about higher pay, a lot of job stability out there because there's a big shortage for tanker drivers, and also it's going to be a lot of home time as well for you, so it's going to be the best of both worlds. Now let's talk about the cons. The biggest con of actually being a tanker and hazardous material is going to be the hazardous material that you're going to have to be able to handle and drive, right? So understanding that tanks are not as easy to drive as normal dry van trailers. To give you some example, one of the biggest things that tanker drivers have to handle is going to be something called the surge. So imagine you're driving straight and all of a sudden you come to a stop sign or a light, and all of a sudden you're going to press on the brake. All that liquid from behind you inside the vehicle is actually going to push you forward even more. It can be a pretty scary situation. And you're also going to have to learn about loading and unloading depending on the type of vehicle that you're in. So it's a lot extra responsibility when you actually start doing that, right? There's, for instance, some liquid soap products where you have to load it, but you can only load a certain amount because as you're driving, when the weather changes, it's actually going to expand or detract on how much quantity of gas or liquid is actually inside there. So I've seen crazy things happen out there where guys are not paying attention, they're not following the safety procedures, and they overload or underload, and all of a sudden something explodes, and that is not a good thing to do, right? But you're going to have to make sure you put all those safety procedures in your head because you are going to be transporting hazardous material. Now the other con of this is going to be you're going to be responsible in most cases for loading and unloading, right? When you're just talking about a normal dry van trailer, you can just back into a warehouse, somebody with a forklift comes in, unloads you, loads you right back up, and then you're on your way. When you're dealing with liquids or hazardous material, it takes a little bit more time to actually load and unload. As an example that we talked about earlier, imagine all those gas stations that you have to go to. That means you gotta pull up to a gas station, open up the tanks underground, and then start moving the hoses around to make sure you're putting the right fuel into the right tanks at the gas station itself. All that stuff is done by the driver. Now you are going to be doing more work, but you're also going to get paid more money. So it all depends on what your balance looks like. So at the end of the day, which way should you go? First step is get your CDL license. Make sure you get your feet wet. It's very difficult for a brand new driver with no experience to get a hazmat job itself because the risks are just too high. A lot of insurance companies don't want to kind of take the risk on that. So we usually recommend our students, when you get your CDL license, get the tanker endorsement and also get the doubles and triple endorsement. You take the test once, it stays on your license forever. And then after you kind of get your feet wet in the trucking industry, a year to 2 years in, and you want to try out hazmat, go and get your hazmat endorsement added to your license itself, because every couple of years you're going to have to renew that anyway. And then from there start working on finding yourself a hazmat job that can pay you more and have you more home time. But if you want to start your journey and get yourself a CDL license, I invite you to come to the best CDL school in the country here at Driving Academy. Check out our website, cdldrivingacademy.com. Again, cdldrivingacademy.com. Thanks and have a great day. Hey, thank you so much for watching this video. If you like it, make sure you hit that like button. Also, subscribe to our channel. It's really going to help us out. Click on that button. And if you want to continue yourself on your road to freedom, here's more videos to watch. There's endless amounts. Hopefully we get to see each other one day very soon. Thanks.